As discussed, the U.S. tax code wants you to become a trust fund baby. My name is Paul Vasquez with Tax Lab. We help people become ethical millionaires. So we talked a little bit about some of the tools you're going to need in order to become a trust fund baby, to begin to transition what you live off of from earned income to unearned income, to long-term capital gains. And a part of that is something very boring and very simple. It is a budget. And this is why. So you need to be able to save some money to transition your earned income into money that's earning long-term capital gains. Now, long-term capital gains is money that you get from the sale of assets over more than a 12-month period, over more than a year. You have to hold it for more than a year, and then it becomes not a short-term gain, but a long-term gain. And the long-term gains get that preferential treatment. We take it one step further. If we want to go from high tax to low tax to no tax, well, you've got to transition your money from earned income to that unearned income and then hold it for more than a year. You do that with a budget. Now, you don't necessarily have to do zero budgeting where you're looking at where every dollar goes, but you first want to understand how much money it's taking for you just to live. And when you draw up that, you're going to have, a line for rent or mortgage. You're going to have a line for food. You're going to have a line for clothing. And you want to kind of break this down on a weekly, monthly, annual basis. Monthly and annual at the least. But sometimes it's easy to do a weekly, sometimes it's better to do a monthly, sometimes it's easier to do an annual, depending on what it is. Clothing, maybe you don't buy clothing every week. Maybe you don't buy clothing every month. Maybe it's every 2 months. Maybe it's every once a year. Whatever it is, having those separate columns is going to help you break down what your living expenses is on a monthly basis. Because if you know how much you spend, I buy maybe, a pair of shoes and a pair of slacks a year. All right, so that's $200, $300 a year. And then you're just dividing that into 12 to get that monthly budget. On top of that, it's going to show you, okay, if you need X amount of dollars to live, and you're making X amount of dollars every month, you might start taking a look at some of those things and saying, hey, if I want to actually take advantage of the U.S. tax code, reduce my taxes, do the smart thing, maybe I don't need a Netflix and a Hulu subscription. Maybe I cut back on some of those things because you're probably just watching a bunch of YouTube clips half the time or TikTok half the time anyways. If you see that you're spending $300-500 on eating out every month, maybe that's a place where you could cut back. Maybe you bring a lunch to work, pack a lunch. Maybe you do a little bit of that. It's a pain in the butt, but these are the sacrifices somebody made to get their children to be trust fund babies. Somebody long ago had to live on less than what they earned. Now, this budget is going to also tell you another thing. If you want to have the same standard that you're living right now, but you want to be able to do that by living off of a trust fund, then what that means is maybe you need to find a way to earn more. Maybe that's it. Maybe you say, okay, I'm in X job now. It's supplying me my bare necessities, Either I try to find a way to earn more at the job I'm at, or maybe I start looking for a new job, or I start giving I look out in the market, I say, okay, what type of work supports the lifestyle I want to live and lets me earn enough so that one day I can retire, so that one day I can live off a trust fund and choose my work and choose the things I want to do, choose my play, choose my life. That's the freedom it's going to bring you, but it does take some effort now. These are the steps, right? That budget, while it sounds like a dorky thing to do, you want to be able to say, this is how much I need to live off of and how much can I put aside. Right? These are the beginning steps. When we have what we call a comprehensive consult. This is where somebody's interested in a complete tax and financial strategy for them that utilizes what the U.S. tax code teaches us about how people have become millionaires, and we create a plan that's applied to you where you're at right now. Part of that comprehensive consult is the discovery phase. This is where we're going to ask for past tax returns. We're going to ask for a budget, a personal balance sheet. We're going to ask for any estate planning documents that you might already have. We want to understand where you're starting from. If we don't understand where we're starting from and we plot a course to where we want to get to and we're wrong about where we're starting from, just like a ship. When a ship plots a course, if it's wrong about its starting point, it's going to be way off by the time it gets to where it thought it was going. So that's why a lot of people can get frustrated with financial strategies, financial plans. It's not necessarily that those plans do not work. It's that you were starting maybe in a different place than you really were. You thought you were starting at point A, and it turns out you were at point X. So we want to be able to set realistic goals, realistic expectations, so that way the plan actually helps you progress to your goals. So we do that. So if you don't want to take the time to do that, we will help you as part of that process. We'll send you a blank, what we use, I call it the next step budget. It's one I've created myself. It actually has in there a tax portion and a savings portion. So it'll automatically kind of calculate that into what your monthly budget should be if you actually account for taxes, because you're going to get taxed on your earned income. There's things we can do to reduce that, but we need that earned income to put into those long-term capital gains sections, to turn our earned income into long-term capital gains, investing it. So that budget begins to let us know, okay, what's our next step from there? Are we earning enough? Are we saving enough to meet the goals that we want? Sounds like a boring, simple step, but if you are struggling with having the means to begin to save, you have to know what you're dealing with. If you haven't done those things, if you don't know what you're dealing with, then it's going to be near impossible for you to take the next step. You have to know where you're starting from. The numbers are going to tell you that. So if you're not sure, take a look at your credit card statements, your bank statements. Let them tell you where you've been spending your money. So some quick tips. You need to get that budget. This is kind of you kind of need to see where you're starting from. You need to understand the lay of the land. You need to see the tools that you may or may not have available to build your house, to go the next step. If you want a comprehensive consult, if you want our help with this, go to lab.tax, click on advisory services, and schedule your free 15-minute introductory phone call, video chat, whatever it needs to be for you. Okay, I wish you guys all the success.